everybody, and welcome back to another Nextlander podcast. Woo, boy! Let me tell you, it's we're day out from Halloween here. As the time we're recording this, Alex and Brad, we are also 1 week out from a U.S. election. Mm-hmm. Just normal times here.
Yeah. Just everything feels great.
Just normal.
Feeling fine.
Just normal times here. It feels, I don't know, just something that feels like this recording, it's like before you open the newspaper and you know there's going to be something in it. This recording will be a point in time before the election. Oh, let's make it the best one. it's the best.
If you need to remember the before times, we are here for you.
Come back and just hold on to this. Hold on to this beautiful, beautiful thing. Alex Navarro, you holding up all right?
I don't know, man. I got to be honest with you. I don't know if I have like a happy, cheery sort of like little soft shoe dance to do for people today. Like my anxiety has been off the fucking charts the last couple of weeks, and today I got in here. I was like, I'm just all set to talk about video games and just be, just head down on all this. And then a bunch of our folks over at GameSpot got laid off today, and I'm just not feeling in a real chipper mood.
Layoffs over at Fandom sounds like a bunch of people were let go. Well, Brad Shoemaker, how are you doing?
Hearts out to some of our former coworkers who we know who lost their jobs. That sucks ass.
Sucks ass.
It has been the tone of the year, but it does not feel like it is not lessened by the sheer volume of the number of these things that have happened over the course of the year. It just kind of keeps feeling worse and worse. Yeah.
Anyway, how am I? I don't know. I'm adrift on the current of history.
Okay.
That's about how I feel now.
Just the flow. They're taking you. Wherever it takes you, it takes you.
Yes. I don't want to get into details too much, but I've got some personal stuff early next week that is going to be taking all of my attention.
Okay.
So my experience of the election is going to be very strange.
Personally strange.
Yes.
It's unusually strange, even by these unusually strange times standards.
But I don't really know how to explain it without explaining it, which I can't do. So I'm just gonna let that one ride.
Okay, letting it ride.
Yes,
folks. I hope you're doing all right out there. And going back to look, we were.
How long have we been podcasting? How long have we been doing this?
20 years.
Yeah,
20 years.
In all that time, it never is not weird to come in and just be like, I gotta come down and sit here and just talk about video games like a normal person and just pretend that all other external stimuli simply do not exist. That never stops being a thing I have to functionally put my brain into to make it happen, because it's never an easy thing to just come in here and be like, I'm gonna be regular conversation guy when shit like this is going on.
That's the showbiz shuffle, baby.
Mm-hmm.
That's yeah. Look, there have been a lot. You can go back. There's the archive. There's tape out there of doing it through the business. I
believe that one Def Jam video is the demarcation line for a lot of people about when things kind of changed.
Was that the COVID one?
That was the one where we found out we were not coming back to the office while near the end of that stream.
Yeah, I hate to say this as a refrain because it is also something that we are personally involved in, but fuck a big company. Like they will just discard people. This industry is brutal as it is. Video games is kind of in a money making point. I don't want to say it's not making money, but the people in it get squeezed, right? And then the people covering it, I mean, it's just a different landscape, and as big publishing companies sway with the fucking breeze, they shake people off. We've been through it as well, and if you can and go out there and support the people you like individually, if they offer that, that's a great way to go. We've been able to get by through that, and kind of survive that change in the landscape, because if not for that, we would still be there, right? Like we'd or at a different job. We probably would have been laid off. Corporations are not your friends.
Nope. No, they never have been.
They're just.
And I was all I was all just like set to come in here and talk about some of this stuff even before this news broke, just because some people over on Blue Sky were being very wistful about like their early games media experiences, like the first games they reviewed and shit like that. And I was just going through my old catalog of like reviews and things I did kind of at the start of my, media career, and just realizing it's like you can't have a staff of people that just review shit like The King of Route 66 and these Simon & Schuster parody games anymore. Like, that is not a viable business model for anybody anymore. And I'm not saying that like going back to that would just make everything better, but like there was a time when you could make an honest, real living writing about garbage, and it was the way it was how I got started, for God's sakes.
You could probably end that there was a time you could make a living writing.
Yeah, period.
Or exclamation point, I don't know, I'm not a writer. I think the thing that bothers me the most is the personal stuff where I feel like GameSpot and Giant Bomb kind of get traded around like some thing that is not just a place full of people.
Yeah, I was thinking this morning in retrospect, like, not counting Whiskey Media, because that's a different situation because they founded the site, right? Mm-hmm. But post Whiskey Media, CBS, I guess, by default, was the most benevolent of the owners.
Post Whiskey, yeah.
Yeah, like it's kind of crazy to think in retrospect that was like the best corporate ownership that the site had.
They certainly gave us the longest runway, if nothing else.
But it's absolutely extremely
relative judgment.
Yeah, I mean, I look back on that and think that was bought basically to not bury, but to kind of for Giant Bomb. And they owned GameSpot at the time, but Giant Bomb was bought to basically get it out of any other orbit and bring it into its and not do much with it, no matter what we were told, because not really that much happened with it. But yeah, I just kind of like punted around, and since it's very personal to us, we know people in there that get punted around too, and it's always it's a really crappy situation to be in, where you have to think people tell you it's going to be great, and then you kind of then are so jaded and so cynical to be like, yeah, there's a lot of promises here, but we'll see in a year.
It's a bad feeling.
It's a bad feeling.
I know I've said this in some form before, but like the day the Red Ventures acquisition was announced, I don't think I was like telling myself this consciously, but I pretty much knew in my heart that was it for me. Like, just the feel of just getting passed off again,
Like, I didn't want to go to CNET.
Right.
I was ready to go.
Like the feeling of just getting passed around to new owners who barely know who you are, and like that whole thing, like it's just
you have to explain your job. You have to kind of like prove yourself again.
Like, I hope this doesn't sound hyperbolic, but there's almost something kind of dehumanizing about it.
Well, no, it's not. It's not kind of. It is.
Yeah, it sucks. And then I think the worst part is, and again, I'm just speaking specifically on stuff we know and or have seen, is that you hope it's going to be okay, but I feel like the pattern is it's never going to be. It's not. Like, there's just, I don't know. It doesn't feel great. Like the pattern we've seen with acquisitions, even within the game space that we're not a part of, is usually like maybe things are okay, and then some shift happens, and it's the first those acquisitions are the first to get dissolved. We've just seen it a lot with smaller developer acquisitions, and in those cases, some people might make some money quickly off the top, but then something can change. The winds could blow a different way, and then suddenly something doesn't work out right. So consolidation, we've talked about it before. Consolidation, the grouping up of all these things can be really tough out there, and the consolidation of the funds and the monies and the attention can be a kind of a tough thing if something goes askew.
Yeah.
So again, best of luck to everybody out there. Now on with the show.
The impossible pivot, as we know.
Speaking of cleaning, speaking of taking things apart, dismantling. How about that?
Yeah, it's getting there.
Okay. I took my entire keyboard apart and cleaned every single key.
Oh,
I did.
What kind of keyboard are we talking?
Mechanical keyboard.
It's
Corsair K7.
Okay.
Every key.
Were you on a particularly rough methamphetamine bender or something? Like, what prompted that?
Look, you said it's been stressful. We all deal with stress in different ways.
How small was the toothbrush?
It was extremely small.
All right.
There's a lot of Q-tips involved. I don't know exactly if there's a better method than just popping every key off and then getting in there and getting the grime out with Q-tips and stuff like that on the surface of the keyboard. I wasn't ready to exactly stick the whole thing in the dishwasher and go. But I feel much better now. It's the grime is gone. Now the grime is only in me.
You're never getting that out.
Yeah, and like no Q-tip can go deep enough to get that out.
Did you clean all the grime off the board, like in between, like where the key sits?
Yeah.
Around the switches and everything?
Yeah. Like, all in there, got up in there as best as I could.
Yes, of course. You know what Will advocates for a lot these days? I don't know. I mean,
throw it out and just get a new damn keyboard.
These little like ultrasonic like eyeglasses cleaners. Have you seen these?
No.
Have you seen those?
Is it an ultrasonic cleaner?
Yeah, I don't know any brands to give you. I'm looking on. There's like InvisiClean is a Magnasonic are brands I'm seeing, but they're these little like powered things that you put like your glasses in with some kind of fluid in it.
Yeah,
like,
I have one of those.
Oh,
I have two of
okay.
those. I have a small one that I upgraded to a beefier one that can heat the water or heat the liquid.
So I've seen people out there saying that's a good way to clean the keys off your keyboard.
I was going to do that, but then I was a little afraid, and this probably just comes down to the quality of the keyboard, that some of the paint might come off.
Yes, so that is probably something to check on. I think it depends on how that stuff was applied.
Yeah, if it's like etched in or just painted on. I was a little afraid of the lettering coming off, because I was going to just dump some Simple Green diluted in there, and then or some soapy water, and I was like, but I'm too lazy to do a test run, and here I am not wanting to open any other media at all. So it's a good way to do that. Hey, pro tip, Caravella's got a pro tip for you, hot one. Unplug your fucking keyboard, then you can't go on the internet. Unless you're just like
God, it's so simple. Why didn't I think of it?
Maybe just break every piece of electronics you own and walk into the woods.
It's a great way to not hit refresh on the news. Just unplug the keyboard for a good couple of hours there while you pluck every key off your keyboard. There was a maddening moment there where I did have to check something for work, and I'm sitting there hitting the raw key, the keycaps are off, and I'm like trying to type in raw dog on the keyboard with just nothing there. But I made it. I managed to do it. Anyway, this keyboard is much better. It's fine. We're maybe doing some stuff that has VR later this week. I wanted to get the keyboard cleaned up, because every time that reverse shot of the my desk keyboard,
it's a vanity thing.
It's kind of a vanity thing. It's also kind of a like that thing was just gross.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about that part. I too am doing VR.
Yeah.
For that stream, and this room is an absolute wreck. I forgot about the everybody can see everything around you aspect of doing VR on a stream. Shit.
It's got time.
Get that toothbrush out. It's time to go.
I had been meaning to talk to you about updated ways to handle, let's say, like getting voice chat and microphone into that setup, because I didn't like the way I did it last time. But now I got to worry about cleaning my room instead.
Clean your room.
Never.
Yeah,
what are you, my mother?
It sounds like we might do some Phasmophobia stuff. I think there's gonna be a little weirdness with the switching. I might just like leave it on. I might do half VR, half not. I might do a run where it's like, okay,
yeah,
I'm gonna do it. I'm just gonna leave it on my thing, because I can't switch while I'm in the VR, obviously.
Yeah.
And then just take it off and do a non-VR run, which might be good for my self anyway.
Mm-hmm. How did you handle the microphone? And should we just turn this into some stream production talk here live on this podcast?
How did I handle the microphone? And I just plug my headphones into the mix I normally get, and I just plug the microphone into the microphone I normally put in. That's it.
So were you just not moving around much? Or did you just try to stay kind of stationary in front of the desk?
It's wired. I have a long XLR cable.
Okay.
I just put it on the ground, and it's a headset mic.
I thought you meant you were using your normal XLR.
No. I plug. I've got a headset mic that I punch into XLR cable. So I just extend my XLR cable and then plug that headset mic in and it's attached to the headset I use. So that's it.
And you're just taking the audio mix from the PC?
From vMix.
Right, yeah. So
I always
that's
take
basically
it from vMix.
That's pretty much exactly what I did a few months ago. God, wait, no. When did PSVR 2 come out? Was that that's been almost 2 years now, hasn't it?
It's been a little bit.
Anyway, except I had a wireless headset.
Okay.
With a questionable mic on it, but otherwise pretty much the same. I guess I'll just do that again.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's a secret that you'll probably hate. Everything I have ever played for Nextlander, my audio has not come from my gaming PC. It has come from vMix with just a little bit of delay on it. So that's, if I've ever died in a game ever, it's probably because of that. I would not be able to play like a rhythm game. It would just be probably throw it off too much.
How is that different than usual?
It's ba 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 boom. This is
I had to get a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. Just destroyed. Caravello destroyed. Yes,
that's right. I'm looking forward to playing some Phasmophobia.
Yeah, me too.
Me too. I haven't played that game in ages.
Thank you to our patrons who voted for it. I'm not sure I've ever played it in a group.
Oh, great! That's the way to play it.
Or unless
that's the only way I played it.
Have we streamed it for this outfit? Because I never played it at Giant Bomb.
Not for this outfit, I don't think.
It's hard to remember.
Maybe at the very beginning somewhere we might have done it, but I don't remember doing it.
I think I played it with Ben at some point.
Yeah, I know y'all played a fair amount of it on GB. I know we played some of that Forewarned, that one that's kind of set in ancient Egypt.
Yeah, and did we do the one that was in like a school? Do you remember that one, Alex? It was like
I do remember that one. I don't think I played that one.
Okay. It was a similar thing. Yeah. We'll go in. I got to test it out and make sure I can hot swap the VR and the not VR. Somebody sent us some tips about setting up controls and stuff. And let's see. Look, that game in a console, I'm just shocked. That thing felt like held together by hopes and dreams. So
yes, definitely.
Curious to see how that thing all goes.
The reason I was asking about your audio setup is that PS5 has gotten Discord support since the last time we tried to do something like this. Mm-hmm. So I was thinking about whether we could try to do something with that for the voice chat instead.
Well, the voice chat you want to be positional.
Yeah, you still need to get it and you still need to get it into vMix and everything, so that's probably a no-go.
Yeah, the voice chat is like a, if I remember correctly, it is very much like a Lethal Company, where you want, the fun is in the walkie-talkies going down or the weird stuff happening where you lose communication, and you'd break some of that, I think, by having a Discord.
It's going to be a trip playing this in VR.
Oh yeah, I've heard it's could be intense, so... well, now that we're talking about video games,
we got there eventually.
We did it. It was good. Brad, did you finish up Fear the Spotlight?
I did finish Fear the Spotlight.
And?
That game's great. I like that game quite a bit.
Great.
It really does not overstay its welcome. It's probably 4 hours to get through the main story, tops, or something like that. Like, just when it feels like they're starting to lay the stealth on a little too thick because they ran out of ideas, it ends, which was very smart. And how does it end? Well? Yeah, it wraps up well. I talked about it last week. You're stuck in the creepy high school with a lot of... It's like genuinely kind of unnerving, let's say. Okay. Mm-hmm. Like, I scare easily in horror games and stuff like that, but like... Oh, then you're going to have a real good time in Phasmophobia. I definitely yelped a couple of times at things that jumped out or whatever.
So it's mostly it's the jump scares for you, right? Well, that's what gets me every time. Not a lot of jump scares in this. It's more, it's pretty subtle stuff. It's not like monsters in your face. There are no real monsters as such in this. It's kind of a little more psychological, like eyes in the dark, eyes in the darkness type stuff. Okay. Eyes in the darkness, good name. Yeah. Like fun puzzles, a lot of good mechanical puzzles in that. At one point, you literally have to plug RCA cables in between like an old TV and a VCR. Okay, is that the whole puzzle? Does anybody remember RCA cables? That's. I mean, in this case, you're just doing the color matching, so it's not that big a deal. But like you're routing electricity in spots and having to do like some simple math to like make voltages line up and stuff like that. Like are they component cables? No, they're composite. It's just yellow video. Okay, because the component could be like a little hard. Yeah, it's just yellow, red, and white. Okay. Anyway, it was very satisfying. It moves briskly. It looks good. Like it's cool for like $20 or whatever it is. The thing that surprised me though is you unlock kind of a substantially new thing when you beat the game that I have not gotten that far into yet. But it's like all new content. Like all new code. Kind of don't want to say what it is because I mean. Oh, does it pivot off of where the game winds up? It's almost like let's say it's kind of like a Red Dead Redemption 2 style thing of, you remember when you finish that game as Arthur? Oh, sure. And then there's way more game after that you didn't expect. Okay. It's a lot like that, let's say. And that's, so I think there actually might be a fair amount more to play past the main game. It's like when you beat Metal Gear Solid 5, when you think you beat, is that the one where you think you beat it and then there's like, you're just halfway through it? Yes. Is that 5? Which is the one?
Is that Phantom Pain?
Yeah, the arc of that game is so weird. My memory has like distorted it.
Fear the Spotlight.
Yeah, it's cool.
That sounds cool. 4 hours to get through that first chunk of story, let's say.
Yeah, and then there's like a nice little story related to the fire in the high school that happened 30 years before.
Okay.
That is told, and I think that actually the rest of that story is probably going to get kind of wrapped up a little more in this post game mode.
I like that. I could. It sounds like you can. If you have a good solid session, you might be able to knock that thing out.
Yeah, you could play through that game in one sitting. Absolutely.
That sounds great. I'm up for that.
And some full on. There was a high school play and like certain students involved, and you kind of get that story through newspaper clippings and diary pages and stuff.
Fear the Spotlight, that is on pretty much everything, right? I think so.
I believe that's the case.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to pivot off of that before we take our break to just mention I booted up Life is Strange Double Exposure. That is the sequel, let's say, to Life is Strange, kind of the direct follow-up. Max Caulfield back again.
The sequel to the first season, specifically.
Yeah. The kind of Max story there, specifically. And I did not play a whole ton of it. Very early on, kind of the intro bits there. But I have to say, pleasantly surprised in the lack of those games could go cringy very, very easily, where you're like, this dialogue, this performance, this just, because those games for me,
well, that first game especially, they were really dancing on the edge of a knife of that with a lot. Yeah,
really balancing there. And some games like that, I'm like, this is like too, do people still say twee? Like too emo, too like you're going too hard for this thing. That is like,
let's bring back twee.
Is it? Do people?
It's a good term.
Yeah, like it's like you're being too
precious,
too navel gazing, like like that kind of thing. But this one's cool so far. Like the characters, at least the two, Max and the woman she's with, are captured well. I don't know how to express it. I don't just mean like facial capture, like voice acting, expressions, digital. It's obviously it's not footage. It's a model. It's just they're rendered well. It's a good realization of what real people sound like interacting, and that's so important for these games.
Yeah, because that's what the games are. They are the character interactions.
So far, it seems like very early on, maybe not even a half hour in, but it just seems like, I'm like kind of invested already. You seem like real people. That's great. Like you don't seem like you're not doing things that seem like a video game script would do. So cautiously optimistic going into that one. I did like the first one quite a bit. It's a first one kind of had a, like Alex said, could go back and forth sometimes and be like, but for the most part, on the average, I really enjoyed Life is Strange. And then fell off the rest of them. Did not kind of take to the rest of them.
I do kind of think some of our appreciation for that first game does sort of tie into how we played them, which is to say that it was you, me, and Austin in a group playing and making our choices together.
Yeah, that any kind of game in that genre, like the Quarry, for example, was way more fun with everybody like shouting what to do.
Yeah, and there's maybe like more investment in some of the choices because everybody's there. Possible. I did like that one that we played, Alex, early in Nextlander, the
Until Dawn.
No, True Colors, was that
Oh right, we did play through that, didn't we? Yeah. That was that one. I thought
it was all right.
It was uneven, but I think it had some good bits in it for sure. Yeah,
and again, maybe that's a thing of the playing in the group setting. So we'll see. I'm gonna play more of this. It's out now. Double exposure. It's the full game. It's not episodic. You just kind of you get it. It's like $50
in a single game.
I did get the super edition because you could put Max in some Final Fantasy gear, Final Fantasy VII gear, because I believe she really likes Spirits Within. I think that was in the first one.
Yes, there is a part where she very explicitly says she loves the Spirit Within. There's also the tasty plasma screen line, which I imagine now she has an OLED.
Maybe.
Tasty OLED.
So yeah, I get to put her in a Chocobo shirt and a Moogle. It's got a Moogle patch on the hoodie, which is like, yeah, no, that's what I want. Sorry, that's gonna cost me an extra $10, but that's what you get. Actually, it's actually the Super Edition gets you that, so it's even more than that. But you do get then some extra cat stuff. I don't know, but I'm in here for the story. My Max Caulfield. It is funny though. You play around, and I'm walking around in the space, and I clicked the rewind button that is in the first game, and she has a line where she's like, just says, just randomly, and she's like, I haven't had those powers in years, which is just very funny. To be like, well, can you just rewind time? She's like, I haven't been able to do that in years.
I don't do that anymore. This is a different game.
Don't hit that key anymore, which I thought was funny. We'll see what happens.
Is this the first time they've gone back to Max since they changed developers?
Yes, there was a Chloe side story game that was technically a prequel, but I don't think Max was even really in that game. I think it was all about Chloe's story.
Yeah, I think that's right. Because Max comes back to town in the first Life is Strange. I think all that takes place before. I did not finish that piece of content.
Yeah.
I did get to a point, Alex, I sent you a screenshot because I was at a point where the character where it had to be like, what was our canonical ending in Life is Strange?
I can't believe you didn't remember.
Well, we did both of them at some point, didn't we? Didn't we
We went back and looked at the other ending, and then we all looked at each other and were like, we made the right decision.
Yeah, so like I had to go, because somebody's asking you, and I was like, oh, this sounds like this is going to be one of those things that sets up what happened in the town. And I was like, I want it to be the canonical one, even though I kind of want to say the other one. So, yeah. Good so far. All right. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll talk about some more games on the list. We'll talk about some news and what have you. The what have you. Stick around. We'll be right back. All right, we are back, and we have two games here about speed. I'll start off here quickly. Game that is all near and dear to my heart. Sonic Cross Shadow Generations.
Okay.
So I booted this up. My son's been asking me about it. I was like, yeah, man, we'll check this out. Played it on the stream on Monday. Seems all right.
I've heard good things actually about this one. I don't know. I mean, granted, they're from people who like Sonic, so I don't know how trustworthy they are.
I don't think you gotta do anything.
You gotta play Sonic. You gotta. Well, people like the Generations, so it's
I was going to ask, how much of this is new?
So it includes Generations. I wasn't that interested in that part. I so when you boot the game up, it's got like Sonic Generations, and on the other side is the Shadow stuff.
Isn't Generations one of I feel like that was one of the ones that when it came out, people were like, "Oh man, like Sonic's good again, finally."
Yeah, that's my recollection of it.
And you want nothing to do with that. Sonic being good again. And
I just come for the Shadow.
Yeah.
And the Shadow stuff is just as batshit as you'd want it to be, okay? So like do you how much do you guys know about Shadow the Hedgehog?
I understand he is equipped with a firearm.
I did not get a firearm yet.
I understand that he is packing.
Yeah.
I mean, he's packing, but I did not see a firearm.
I think he's a bad dude.
But is he a bad dude or is he a bad dude?
Yes.
So he's raised on a space station by Dr. Robotnik's uncle or father.
Oh, you weren't?
Oh. And there's a little girl there. And I forget what his name is. Something like Jerry Robotnik or something. I forget. I can't remember the whole relationship. Look, I just watched the intro movie.
He prefers Gerald, please.
It might be Gerald. And there's a little girl there, and then the government comes and murks them. And the little girl tells Shadow to protect the people on Earth or something.
This got very real very fast.
But like FBI guys show up in the space station and shoot them all.
Okay.
And Sonic or Shadow escapes and is really angry. And then there's something other supernatural, the Dark Lord or something that says that you're part of me. And there's a starfish. And I think I've got most of that correct. And
that's
then
a lot to take in. I'm going to be honest with you.
And then the Generations is going on in the parallel to what's going on here, and you get a lot of wings, and Shadow is just an angry dude, just an angry, fast little motherfucker, just tearing shit up. That game, I don't remember playing much of Generations. I may have. If I did, it has left my mind. That game is fast in a way that I don't know if I can keep up with it. He may be going. He got to go too fast.
I don't think that's possible. No such thing.
It's like the thing where you're like, "Holy cow! I don't even know what's happening anymore. I'm just bouncing all around."
If it's too fast, you're too old, man.
I think I might be too old, but I did enjoy what I played of it. I would love. It's almost like I want to keep going in that like Asur's Wrath kind of way of like, what is going on here? Yep. Where are we going with this?
Just got to see how this plays out.
How is this getting even batshit crazier? And it's got like butt rock all over the place, and just like even on the main menu where you're like switching from Generations to Shadow, when you're over the Generations, it's like deet, 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 and then you move over, it's like go 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 go.
I do have a recollection that Shadow was the most nu metal aligned of all the Sonic characters.
And I think the soundtrack is actually pretty good, but I don't know. It's like fun. It's fun, which is great. It might be silly, it might be dumb, but what I played of it was a kind of a decent amount of fun, enjoyment to be had there. So I can see why, even if you're not into it, you just go in and you're like, what? Like, I am not necessarily into it. What is going on here? But I can't look away.
Generations is way older than I realized, like 2011.
It's the one with the little Sonic come, right? They're like regular, like a regular looking modern Sonic.
Yes, like lanky, lanky Sonic versus squat Sonic.
Yeah, like little ball Sonic. Yeah.
Yes, that's my Sonic. Squat Sonic is my Sonic.
So, maybe I'll keep going with it. I don't know. I got it. My son hasn't played it yet. Maybe I'll just watch him play it and see if he can keep up. I said it during the stream. Feels like the game in particular where I hand the controller to him, and I'm like, "Can you just get this part? Can you just do this part for me? I'm too old now. I can't anymore." But that game seems all right from what I played, which was probably like an hour and change of it. Moves pretty quickly. Got some wings. Can shoot bolts out of my hands. I have not got a piece yet, but would not be surprised if he gets one. Sonic Cross Shadow. Sonic.
I don't know.
Sonic and Shadow?
My brain absolutely inserts cross anytime I see an X now, but is that appropriate? I'm not sure.
I don't know. It's $50. I think available most places. Even the Switch can keep up with that baby. I don't know. I haven't played it on Switch, but it is available there. I got it on the PC. We're kind of, again, I've said this before, leaning in most places now, especially since I got that 4K running on the other TV there. It just feels like when the smoke clears, maybe I'll still be able to play my games on the PC instead of having to pull out an old console in 5 or 6 years.
Yes. Did you see, I didn't put this in the news. I mean, this is a little bit sensationalist is not the right word, but the Ukulele remake that is coming out. Did you see that?
I did see that, yeah.
It's listed, its availability is listed for like PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo platforms. Is how they phrased it.
Like, what does that mean? Like, can we not just say what's happening?
I think you know.
Okay.
At least I hope that's the case.
It's the new analog thing they're putting out.
That's right. Yes.
It
runs on Alarmo, actually. They're porting Ukulele to Alarmo.
Nice. All Nintendo platforms. All right, Brad, there's another fast game in town.
Yeah, man.
One that I also looked at and was like, I don't think I could keep up with this.
Dude, if you think you're too old for fast games, do not play this.
Echo Point Nova.
Echo Point Nova. Echo Point Nova. I feel like those are just like 3 unrelated words, and you just need to say it several times to embed the title in your brain, because otherwise it makes no sense.
EPN. Echo Point Nova.
Echo Point Nova. I've been seeing, I think this came out like a month ago, I've been seeing it get batted around here and there. The description I saw that really caught my attention was somebody said it's like Call of Duty meets Titanfall meets Tony Hawk.
Okay.
And I was
What's the Tony Hawk part?
You have a hoverboard.
Oh, that's why you're going so fast?
You have a hoverboard, and you can sort of wall run / wall hoverboard, and also like hoverboard straight up walls.
Okay.
With it.
Okay.
This is a hard game to describe.
Can you start with because when I looked at it, it looked like a first-person shooter, competitive shooter.
It's not competitive at all. So
it's not. Okay.
This is a fever dream of a first-person shooter, like straight up. It's PvE only though. It's either single player or it has co-op. I think up to 4 or maybe 3.
Okay.
But it's just you on a big open world map fighting AI enemies. Like there is no competitive aspect to this game.
That's good to know. That actually, I wish I had known that before. That turned me off when I was like, I can't compete in this space.
No, definitely not. In fact, it's like an open world game. It's got a giant open world map with like zones to discover, and you can warp between fast travel points. And there's like challenges and collectibles and stuff to find. It's kind of an interesting mashup. The whole thing is set in the sky. Like the entire map is all a bunch of like fairly small kind of sky islands.
Which becomes relevant with Sky Islands,
right? It becomes relevant very quickly because the moveset in this game is insane. Like you get a double jump, you get this hoverboard, which for all intents and purposes is your sprint. You just hold down shift to you get on the hoverboard and off immediately. There's no
get off the board.
I mean, there's no like, oh, I have to mount up on my hoverboard and go through an animation or whatever. Like you're on the board as fast as you can hit the shift key.
Yeah,
and it makes you incredibly fast. Like I said, it allows you to like go straight up cliffs and stuff. It also tends to make you fly off of those tiny islands. Like this game is slippery as hell. It's incredibly fast, and it feels like you're like, especially when you're on the hoverboard, you're just like skating around on hot butter all the time. So like you very easily can just overshoot your jumps or like slide off the side of a platform. They also give you a grappling hook though. It's just like this energy lasso that'll grapple onto any surface you can reach.
Can you do turns with it and stuff?
So yes. In fact, the grappling hook, you can steer it by just looking in different directions while it's like hauling you around. So you can. I haven't gotten that good with it, but you can kind of use its momentum to sort of slingshot over things. In fact, as I say that out loud, that makes me understand how to get over a major hurdle I'm having with this game, which is that like half the time you're trying to save your ass from falling into nothing, you're grappling onto like the bottom of platforms. Meaning if you just zip to those, you're just hitting the bottom of the platform and then falling anyway.
Okay.
So I need to be using that, like I need to like grapple to the bottom of the platform, but then look above it. And that would kind of slingshot me over the platform, if that makes sense.
So as soon as you hit the point with the grappling hook, it starts to retract?
Yes. As soon as you make contact, the grappling hook starts reeling you in.
So
you would kind of want to look in the direction you want it to fling you rather than like where it's attached, if that makes sense.
Otherwise you're right, you're going to bump into it.
Yeah, like I just put 2 and 2 together as I was describing that.
I see.
Trying to think what else. Like it's just, I think that's like the bulk of the mobility moves. You've also got a kind of a butt stomp, like ground pound. Which is super useful because like I said, you're flying through the air at 1,000 miles an hour. If you're right over a thing you need to land on, you just hit control, or I don't know what the gamepad equivalent is. You just shoot straight down. Like all your momentum in the air stops, and you just.
So I assume no fall damage,
right? And you get an ability pretty quickly that gives you kind of explosive, like knock everybody in the air off of that ground pound.
Okay.
I think that's most of the mobility.
Wait, you
moves.
get an ability. So what kind of game is this?
There's a perk system. Like you're picking up agility orbs. There are full on green glowing orbs that they just call agility orbs in this. Like this game, it plays super well. It's like I at some point I had to stop and I was just like, this is fucking awesome. Like I can't believe the shit I am doing in this game. But it also has a certain lack of polish, where like the menus are really janky. The way everything fits together is sort of rough, if that makes sense. Like you kind of need to see it in action to really understand what I'm talking about. It does not feel like a big, like polished AAA game, but the
gameplay is solid.
But yes, it plays very well. But also, it also just feels like it's breaking like 3 different rules for games like this. And in the middle of all this, you are playing a very like precise Call of Duty style shooter.
That's the part that when I was watching the trailers, was like, most present, right?
Like aim down sights, like pop headshots, like the weapons are all fairly realistic, like assault rifle, shotgun, sniper type stuff. So as far as I've seen so far, there may very well be like weird energy weapon shit out there later.
Is there auto or aim assist or anything? Because you're really moving.
Maybe not that I've seen so far. When I started the game, it gives you the difficulty levels, and the description on the hardest difficulty is like basically like you play first person shooters. And I was like, okay, well that's me. I guess I should pick that one. Like I don't think that's an appropriate recommendation because they start hitting you with challenges very quickly. You like get to a place and it'll be like, okay, like activate this challenge, and like 30 guys are going to spawn in, and you have to slingshot and hoverboard and double jump your way all over the place to not get killed by them while you kill them and then get the reward.
Do you have health?
Yes, you have health. You have to pick up health, ammo, etc. Like probably the third one of those challenges took me like 10 tries to beat.
Okay.
On the hard difficulty, so I think maybe playing on the medium difficulty is a little more sensible, despite what they recommend. It's just so fast. It's so out there.
Seemed very fast.
Like you just watch some footage of this game, like you just fly all over the place in a way that is like pretty hard to track.
It's good to know. It sounds like a different game than I was judging it to be. So that's good to hear.
Yeah.
I really had that when I was watching the trailers. It had that vibe of the way you're describing it. What I thought was like this is a fast competitive thing, almost like a Super Quake or something. But it sounds like more of maybe Neon White's not the right way to say it, but is it kind of like, hey, you move quickly and try to do. They're not puzzles, right? They're not like combat puzzles.
Well, no. I mean, like the way the islands are arranged, like there are definitely platforming challenges or puzzles involved. Where it's like, oh, my objective is way up there on that mountain.
Okay.
I don't really see a path to jumping my way up there. I'm gonna have to figure this out, and you've got all those tools.
But it's not like a run, like a Neon.
Not at all. No, no. It's just a giant. In fact, the map is freaking huge. When they've revealed the map to you, it's like almost overwhelming.
It's wild. Okay, I'm gonna have to check it out.
There are like hundreds of locations to discover on this giant map, and I don't think it's procedural. I think it's a real, like a predefined map. I'm not sure.
Do you have objectives?
Yes. Well, so yes, but I don't know if I'm like technically out of the tutorial yet, because there's a long process of like, there's a story behind it. You're like part of some squad. You're crash landed on this alien planet. There's an evil corporation that you're butting heads with, and you're going around.
All corporations are evil.
Well, yes, granted, but like you crash your ship, and like your ship is crashed at the beginning, and they're like, hey, you got to go find all your equipment. So like, it's a fairly long process of like, platform your way over here to get your grenades back. Now go over here to get the grappling hook. Now go here to get this gun, et cetera, et cetera. So those have been most of the objectives so far.
Okay.
But I think, actually, no, my objective now is like, go infiltrate this enemy base and activate this thing or something. So that's like, I guess I am getting into the full objectives now, but like, I think, well, let's be real. Most of the objectives are going to be like, get to this point by any means necessary and then kill everything.
Well, if you're still getting gear, that's pretty meaningful.
There's like a big weapon loadout screen that I've only filled like half of.
Okay.
There's a perk system. You've got like an energy budget where it's like, oh, this perk costs 2 energy and I have 5 total. So you can like mix and match which perks you want to have equipped.
Have you gotten the sense that some areas are locked off to you until you get a certain perk or upgrade?
That's an interesting question. My sense, the 2 perks I've gotten so far are the like pop everybody up in the air when you butt stomp.
Okay.
And the other one is slow down time.
Ooh.
So those seem more like kind of combat modifiers so far rather than like core mobility stuff.
Traversal, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. You might be able to platform your way across the whole map right at the beginning. I'm not sure.
Can you grappling hook to enemies?
I don't know. I haven't tried that yet. But like, you got to be real good with the aim. Like you're moving so fast, like you're literally like trying to pop a headshot on a guy as you were like vaulting over him, type stuff. Yeah. Like a lot of the best shots I'm hitting in this game are unintentional or like not something I thought I would do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like stuff that you kind of marvel at after the fact. It's like, oh wow, I can't believe I hit that.
It sounds cool.
It's actually really fun. Like it plays super well, but it's like, it's all over the place, man. It is a kinetic mess, I would say. Like
different. That's a better name than Echo Point Nova.
Maybe kinetic mess. Like, I guess we've been talking about like movement shooters or mobility shooters for a while. Like that's kind of this like movement that has grown out of Call of Duty of all things.
Oh.
And to me, to a large extent, all they have done is just reinvent the wheel and made Quake again. Because it's like, hey, you want to play a game with mobility? Let me tell you about 1996. But this is way beyond that, though. This is like you are in the sky, you are flying through the air for probably most of your time playing this.
I feel like Titanfall for me is the more modern thing for a mobility shooter.
Yes. So this definitely, because you wall run in this, there's definitely some Titanfall in this for sure.
Titanfall is a good game.
Yeah, in fact, like the shooting is as much Titanfall as it is Call of Duty in this.
All right,
it's a strange game, but it's very cool.
And it's out. It's in early access.
Yeah,
this is the game.
It's just out.
On PC, Echo Point Nova, $25.
Yeah, I guess this could come to consoles. Like
could you like what would the mappings have to be like on a controller? Like
I think it's got control. Does it have controller support? Yeah, it does have full controller support. It's just the aiming, like some of the skill shots are so precise on the enemies as you're flying around. It's kind of hard to imagine, but
my son is playing Neon White. That's probably why it's in my head, and he's playing it on the Switch. And I reminded me I played the Switch one for like an hour or so, and then was like, I need to use a mouse. Like I can't.
Same.
I can't do this.
Yep.
And that sounds like something similar here, where we'd just be like, I'm usually a controller person for a lot of shooter stuff, but when it comes to being fast and accurate, a mouse for me, please. For sure. Thank you. All right, moving on here. Speaking of fast and accurate representations of Konami franchises, Vampire Survivors, Castlevania DLC.
Long winding path to get there. It kind of took the Metroidvania sort of path to eventually get to where you were going, but I like it.
I needed the wave gun before I could get through that door. What's up with this? So, okay, I have one question for you, Alex.
Okay.
Is this story DLC in like a narrative way?
Not really. So they did do that adventure mode where they it's not really a story, but there is like a campaign with certain characters. That is a separate thing from just sort of the main experience of playing Vampire Survivors, a game I still play with great regularity because it's just my brain is broken in that specific way. But this DLC is it's at least one new stage, which is a big stage, is the basically the Castlevania level stage. And so they've done stuff like this when they did their Contra DLC. Like they also created like some levels that were based around the various Contra characters. The big one that they added had like a straight up like Contra style boss fight at the end of it. Which was great. Can
I just butt in here? I'm being reminded that DLC was called Operation Guns.
Yes. All of them had guns, so it makes sense.
It's pretty good.
And this DLC, I mean, I think I remarked when I said, you're doing Contra, but you're not doing Castlevania. This game is basically just ripping off Castlevania. Well, guess what? They got around to it this year. So it is a big stage where you are progressing through it. You are unlocking sections of it like you would Dracula's Castle in a Castlevania game. And there are like a bunch of different boss fights you can trigger that are monsters in the grand Castlevania tradition.
Wait a second. I lied. I said I have one big question, but Alex.
Yeah.
Is there a vampire now in Vampire Survivors?
I cannot tell you that information because I have not actually unlocked everything in this DLC yet.
All right.
I'd say I've unlocked maybe a third of the characters because this thing is lousy with Belmonts.
There are a lot of Belmonts.
There are Belmonts in the floorboards, man. They are just everywhere. There are like 20 characters in this DLC.
Leon, Sonia, Trevor, Christopher, Simon, Juste, Richter, Julius, Grant, John, Jonathan, Soma.
Hey, man, they were making a lot of Game Boy games for a while, DS games.
These are like third cousins of Belmonts, like by marriage.
Like Sypha from Castlevania 3 is in here.
Are they all? I assume they all have a whip until you get to the magic
Depends
ones?
on the weapon.
Yeah, I guess so.
Because every character, just like all the other characters, they have their own particular weapon. A lot of them are variations on whips, but they have their specific abilities. That like some go diagonal, some do a little blah, 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 like Sonic thing in front of you. Like it really just depends on the character. But it's the same unlock process as you would anything else in Vampire Survivors. But in this case, progressing through the big stage, the big Castlevania Dracula's Castle stage, takes a while. You're probably not going to get through every single boss fight and all the unlocks in one run. But there are also checkpoints. There are literal warp points in the level where when you hit them and you beat the right bosses to unlock whatever you need to unlock those, you can then just go straight to that part of the castle if you want to.
Weird. And is there a timer going?
I mean, it's like every other level in that it has a 30-minute time. It's
30.
a 30-minute time limit, yeah.
So the time runs out. I've gotten to a checkpoint. I can start with another 30 minutes from the checkpoint?
Well, you'd have to start the level over again, but yes. I mean, basically, there is the warp point is right near the starting zone, and then you jump in there, and you just keep going in there, and then it'll eventually get you to whatever the last warp point it was.
Oh, I see. Warp point. I got it. Okay.
Yeah, because the progression of the stage is still the same no matter what.
Yeah. So if you want to grind out at the first part for a little bit, you can then hit the warp point whenever you feel ready.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Makes sense. So when you're going through with your Belmont posse and you're unlocking these new weapons, I assume some new ones.
Yeah,
sounds
it's
like
all new
ones.
weapons for the new characters.
Can you get those? Does those come back into base Vampire Survivors if you want those weapons?
You have to hit whatever achievement it is that unlocks the weapon. Usually it's like surviving X amount of time with the character that you have, killing X number of enemies with that weapon or something like that. Make sure you evolve it for the first time, that kind of thing. So once you do that, whatever the checkpoint is for that, like then it becomes like a pool weapon for everybody.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Does Vampire Survivors have a thing where you can turn off some weapons if you want other things to? Okay. Come up
like
more
everything
in the
else, it's
rotation.
tied to the progression. Like you have to basically like unlock X number of banishes or whatever over time, but you can banish any weapons you don't want.
I mean, even before you look, like say
that's what I mean. Like you can say in the UI.
In the UI, okay.
But you still have to unlock those. Like you get an X number of like I want to turn off this number of weapons. And like that's a thing you are dumping money into to be like I can now like banish more weapons if I want to.
Are there more I don't know what you call them, but the things that you spend money on, like the banish things, are there more upgrades, permanent upgrades?
They haven't really added much in the way of new permanent upgrades in a while.
Okay. Overall, though, it sounds like you're digging it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I still play this game with regularity, and they just added new stuff to it. Like they just added more train track to the distant tunnel that is playing this game to whatever I consider to be completion. I have not found it yet.
Have they given a price for this yet? Like
I think it's $4.
Is it $4? Okay, looking at the Contra one, I have to salute them for sticking to their $2 DLC pricing on that one, even though they have to pay the Konami tax on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I was hoping $4 is still pretty reasonable.
There's a lot of stuff in this one. The level is pretty big. I don't feel like they are cheating anyone by charging slightly more. I also think that Contra DLC might have been $3 at the start. I don't remember.
It's showing $1.99 at this point on Steam.
I am happy.
$2.50 regular, sorry.
$2.50 regular, okay.
I am happy that we have finally, the relationship with Konami obviously there for the Contra stuff, but it seems like everybody sat at the table. The Bel Paeses and the Belmonts now can live in harmony. It's almost like a Pokemon being in PAL world, which doesn't sound like it's happening.
No,
anytime
that's definitely not happening.
But it does feel like, oh, okay, we're all in on this. Good. It's Castlevania in Vampire Survivors, which is just kind of feels like a send up of Castlevania in a lot of ways. Great. Let's have fun together.
Yeah, it's like you maybe possibly could have pursued legal action over some of these sprites, but instead you were just like, let's just join forces.
Yeah.
I mean, Konami, the vaults are open, clearly. Like, the properties are there for the rating. You just got to sit down with the right lawyers for it.
And make good games.
Yeah, optimally.
That's Vampire Survivors' Ode to Castlevania? Is that
out on Halloween, yes.
Good for them. Still going. That thing's...
It will go forever. That person never has to make another game if they don't want to.
I wonder if they are still coding... Last I had seen, I think it was in a NoClip documentary, I think, where they said they still code in JavaScript and that gets ported over, but any changes that get made still get made in the JavaScript version, and then it gets ported over to whatever engines they're using now.
Because they moved all versions of the game to Unity 2 years ago. I think it was around the time that like the Xbox came out, maybe. So like the shipping game has been on Unity for a while, but that's hilarious if he's still...
I don't know if that's true as of
he's
today.
Still developing it in JavaScript and just...
You program in what you know.
Yeah.
And what you like.
Alex, that's not the only dark thing you have been playing. Hella Remastered, Shadows of the Damned.
Speaking of looking backward at previous times in my life, that was I would say a relatively early Giant Bomb review for me. I think 2012, I believe, is when that came out.
Okay,
11 or 12.
You did that one?
I think I did that one. Yeah, I definitely reviewed that game, and I don't think I would have reviewed it for anyone else at that point. So would have been for Giant Bomb. Yeah, so this is the game that was the supergroup of Shinji Mikami, Suda51, and Akira Yamaoka coming together to make a game under the EA partner label, which we all know worked out great for everyone involved. So much so that I think Suda made John Riccatello the villain in one of his next games. So
big corporations. There's a theme to today's show.
That game got a little bit screwed by EA from what I remember from a marketing perspective. But it was never an amazing game, but it was a pretty decent third-person shooter that had a great abundance of dick jokes, which is, in video games, not terribly novel on its own. But the quality of the dick jokes was like maybe just a hair above the average.
That's literally end of the review talking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Even at its worst moments, you'll be compelled to keep playing unless, of course, you just really hate dick jokes.
There's so many dick jokes, dude. It is nonstop.
This is, does he have a bone gun, or does the gun have a name? Does the gun
is this the one with the talking gun?
Yes.
Okay.
The friendly British talking gun, yes. It's a skull that warps into different kinds of guns, and also a torch. But yes.
Okay.
And it's a it's a decent third-person shooter. You are walking around a lot of corridors. You are doing minor puzzle solving to try and unlock new areas. There's this whole darkness mechanic where when you are in the underworld, because Garcia Hotspur, the main character, is a demon hunter, maybe a little bit more Robert Rodriguez protagonist than just like Constantine, but but yeah, you're just kind of running around solving puzzles, shooting demons. Sometimes there's a little bit more complication to how you shoot those demons, but by and large, it is mostly just an excuse to throw as many gross out gags and dick jokes at you as possible.
I don't remember hating this game.
No, it's fine. And the thing is, at the time, I liked it. I thought it was pretty good. I think X number of years later, maybe some of the shine has worn off. Maybe my sense of humor is just a hair less puerile than it used to be. But it's not bad. This remaster in itself, it's not a stunner, but it does look like a much better version of that game. It is not a full remake. It is just a remaster. And it's interesting to me that they got to do this, because I would have imagined untangling those rights was maybe not the easiest thing in the world, though I think at some point someone bought the rights to that game.
Well, that's also out on Halloween.
Yes, it is $25.
$25.
And I've not, other than some occasional AI hiccups, I've not seen anything really wrong with this remaster. It's just hey, how bad do you want to revisit this game, or how badly do you wish you could have played it when it came out?
Hella bad.
I maybe for me not hella bad, but it's neat to see they did this.
That's Shadows of the Damned, the hella remastered, pretty much out on everything.
Yeah.
That kind of takes us to the end here. I've still been playing Silent Hill 2, still enjoying Silent Hill 2. I don't have much to add to it other than I don't know why this is a me thing. I'm sorry. I apologize to Silent Hill fans, but I am constantly surprised at just how not bad the voice acting and the presentation of the characters is. Every once in a while, I think I'm just expecting Resident Evil, because that is my survival horror game that I'm more familiar with, and those games are corny as hell. And I think I'm always expecting that to come out of the character's mouth in the writing, and it's not. It's better. It's better than that.
Even the performances in Resident Evil are totally fine these days. I mean, the events depicted may still be corny as hell.
Yeah. What's going on is, and what is Ethan? Is that the most modern character?
Yes.
A lot of what is happening here?
Was anyway. I don't think he'll be back for the next one.
So yeah, I'm intrigued. I think the combat is there, and not no, that came out wrong. Sorry.
Are you sure? Sounded like you meant it.
No, it's
I know what you mean. It's like they got it there.
Yeah, it's from what I understand. Again, not a big Silent Hill 2 person. Maybe the combat wasn't as integral to the game in Silent Hill 2.
I think that's the case.
But I don't know for reference. So what I meant by it's there is it's there. You do a lot of combat. But I'm enjoying it, and it's not bad. And I have enough ammo and healing, quote unquote, potions to hopefully see me through. So. I'm going to keep going with it. It sounds like when I finish up that last stream, maybe about a third of the way through it, and I think I'm just going to go on and wrap that one up.
Yeah, I might have to try this too. Quick thank you to people on Discord who reached out and said, you may know this now. It's completely self-contained. So
some people said that during the stream.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, like at least the first 3 Silent Hills are all kind of just their own thing. They just sort of take place in the same milieu.
Yeah,
but like no story connectivity between the games, so you could just play this sight unseen and be fine.
Yeah, and I think there is. I'm trying to think of with the combat. I do think the combat rewards skill in a way where you can do ammo conservation if you are good at dodging and don't want to blast stuff. And I think that's always welcome in a game where there's a skill level to, hey, I have a ton of bullets because I'm pretty good at this game, and I can dump them. Unlike me, where I just constantly shoot between their legs as they're shambling and running around. All right, Silent Hill 2. I think that's going to do it for the games. We do have one big game we'll talk a little bit just briefly about in the news that we did not play yet, and that is Dragon Age. I think reviews are out as of yesterday.
Yeah, Brad, so Monday. I think it was Monday. Monday came out.
Yeah, we did not get that game early, so we will not be talking about that until we have played it, which we're planning to do on Friday. So we'll check that out on Friday. And we'll talk a little bit more about our thoughts on the new world that we live in with people talking positive about Dragon Age when we come back after this. All right, we are back. And it's time to jump into the news. Not a ton of news here. Maybe a good thing. Look, plenty of on people's mind already. And look, half the time when there is a lot of news, it's probably shit news anyway. Yeah. So we only have half the shit news here, which is Concord. You may remember, kind of a let's. All right. Well, I don't want to put my foot in my mouth here. I was going to call it. Let's hope it's a unique case of something. People spending tons of years of their lives on, going up for a very short amount of time and coming down. I don't know going forward in the gaming industry if people will just pull the plug on things when they're not performing as well for live service stuff. So I kind of want to say I hope it's a unique case. It's still kind of a tragic case of a game, but more news came out here, Brad, about Concord and the fate of Firewalk.
Yeah, like the final news. What's it been, about 2 months since they shut it down, right? Yeah, yes, because that game came out late August, and it was down within 2 weeks of release, I want to say.
Within a week, I think.
So we've basically spent kind of September and October waiting to hear, and there was reporting about Sony. We've been waiting to hear what their decision would be.
But there was was there some actual quotes from Firewalk, or people like, we're taking it down while we decide what's going on, right?
Yeah,
like
the wording was kind of like explore the future of the game or something like that. And the reporting was also like, there's debate within Sony and at Firewalk about what's going to happen. Some people think it might come back for replay. Some people think the whole studio is going to get shut down.
Yeah.
Those latter people were right. Unfortunately, they both have, I think, what was Herman Holst's specific language. The best path forward is to permanently sunset the game and close the studio.
Which is, again, kind of a wild thing to do with the amount of sunk cost into that in a playable game. Obviously nobody was playing it, but in a game that wasn't, by accounts, wasn't broken.
Oh, it worked just fine.
I functioned as intended.
I played some amount of the release version and it totally played fine, and it was not bad. It was not a bad game.
Yeah.
No, like our complaints about it weren't functionality. It's just I had a hard time seeing it competing, in that market. It just did not have that extra it factor. But, I always felt like there was a chance they could have gotten there if they had had some time, and that is just not going to come to pass.
Yeah, I guess that had to be their calculus and their decision-making, because I'm like Vinny. I look at this and I'm like, it's a finished, functional game.
Yeah.
Like, how do you not do something else with that? You spent all this money and time.
And there's some reporting here, at least in this Kotaku article, Brad, that you linked to us, about the how much was possibly put into this, though it sounds like maybe that's hard to, it's not public information. They're just getting it on background.
There had been some different reports out there from different people about what this supposedly costs, which were not ever really verified. Kotaku, Ethan Gatchett, Kotaku, has a line in this story speaking to two sources that the initial deal for this game was $200 million, but that is not including the cost of acquiring Firewalk,
right,
and the game's IP.
So
or marketing, presume. Well, that may have included marketing. I don't know.
So obviously we've talked about this almost to death. But obviously keeping a live service game going is an ongoing cost even after release. And Somebody must think that sunk cost is not worth keeping the thing up and running if it's never going to gain traction.
And there's a significant amount of work that would have to be done to convert it to free to play if that's, for example, what they were going to do. Like there's a ton of design work around basically having to rework the entire rewards track to work in a free to play setting. They would have had to rip out entire parts of that game and fully re-implement them, which would certainly have taken time and money. And even in a world where like this brand had not been poisoned or tainted the way it has in the public perception, you're still like looking at like just a 50-50 shot of it still crashing and burning, right?
Yeah.
Just because that market is already so saturated anyway.
I would say 50-50 being maybe even generous.
That might be generous.
Extremely
like decent chance it still doesn't hit, even in a world where nobody ever heard of this and it came out free to play. Still a decent chance it doesn't make it because that happens to live service games constantly to this day,
Yeah.
So with the public perception around the brand being what it is, like I guess it's sort of understandable why they wouldn't want to make that further investment.
We talked a little bit about this, and I'll just bring it up here again. Do you think there is? Are we we're definitely in a bubble. In our bubble, we would be interested to see a year and a half from now or a year from now a Concord, and that would punch it through the noise, right? To be like, oh my God, Concord's back. We have to go check this out. We're going to go play this game. It's got that cachet, right? I can't believe this game is back. You feel like maybe that the mainstream that just wouldn't carry enough weight to put the money into it?
Probably not. Like if they did something substantially different with it, where it was like, oh, it's back and look at what it is now. Like, wow.
Yeah. But it has to shake that other stuff off. Yeah.
Like I agree, at least for me, there definitely would have been a certain mystique around it. Like, wow, they brought this game back from the dead. Like this situation has never had. Now this is doubly unprecedented because they killed the game 2 weeks after launch, and now it's back. Like crazy. But I don't think that would have been enough.
So what? So the reporting here about Firewalk and is it Neon Koi is the other studio here?
So that's all announced. That there's Sony put up this statement from Herman Hulst on their site that talks about the closure of both Firewalk and Neon Koi was a mobile developer they had acquired a couple of years ago.
Okay, they've been working on something for at least a couple of years, I think.
I think some kind of multiplayer shooter sounds like
mobile multiplayer shooter. Yeah.
And they were called something different. I think like Savage Games when they got bought or something, but I don't think they even shipped a game under Sony after they got bought. And Firewalk obviously only shipped the one. Like you want to talk about corporations just passing their acquisitions around and unceremoniously shit canning them. I mean, like here's two studios just gone with the stroke of a pen.
Yeah, I mean, man, it's hard for me to get. I understand it in a 20,000 foot view. Like, yeah, okay, you put this thing out, you put the money into it, it's not going to recoup it. Somebody's crunching numbers, they don't think it's going to work. But these people who developed this game that put all this work into it to see it at launch, like you hear about stories all the time about games that don't make it to launch, right? It doesn't ship and it doesn't do this thing. But this game launched and then to have it come right back down and just never see the light of day
so fast
has to be just gut wrenching.
Yeah, especially because it's a live service game that you can no longer launch because the servers don't work. Like you can't even go back and like see your work anymore.
Yeah.
There's no way, there will never be another way to run around in this game. And actually, don't say never. Like 10 years from now when the PS5 has been cracked wide open, like I'm sure people have consoles with that game still installed. Like maybe there's a chance somebody will try to resurrect this thing. Preservationists, again, way down the line from here. But as of now, there is no way possible to ever play this game again.
Like if we're going to get to this in a minute. This is too much. This is a bad place to start this conversation. But say I was doing research on Concord and wanted to check out Concord from a source like a library or something. Wouldn't it be nice if there were an archive where you could at least for research purposes go and see what was happening in Concord?
Are you looking for a single user license or a premises license?
I was looking for more of a single user license so I could do this kind of work.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
But before we move on to the next story, which again too early for that segue, so Firewalk and Neon Koi are shut down. Do you know if they're being has there been any talk about them being absorbed into bigger Destiny stuff? I know Marathon just got like it's a video that went out that's like, hey, we're still making Marathon.
Still over here doing it.
Yeah.
I saw there was some news about that team of people that's getting absorbed from Bungie into Sony. I think their group may have gotten renamed or something.
Okay.
But anyway, I have not seen any talk at all about any people from these studios being placed in other positions inside Sony. Actually, I'm sorry. There is a line in here about that.
I was just scanning it again.
We will work to find placement for some of those impacted.
Okay.
Within our studios where possible. So I guess but who knows how aggressive or comprehensive that even is. Like that could just be like, hey, here's the jobs page. Like, feel free to apply.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it'll be any more.
Oh, there it is. I just found it as well at the bottom here. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's brutal. Yep. It's a brutal tale.
Yeah, it sure is.
All right. Now for the actual segue. Pretend I did that cool part where I was talking about checking a thing out from a library, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Brad, what are my chances of being able to check out Concord from my local library for research purposes?
Not great.
I did not even know this was a movement and that this was happening, but it's more, maybe it continues to sound. I don't know. I had not really followed this story until this final ruling came out. Although if you're going to go check out a game and they have the copy of the game there in the library, I think you're fine. Yeah, but if you can't connect to a server,
but if you need to access it remotely, this is something the Video Game History Foundation had been involved in, although it was being spearheaded by the Software Preservation Network, which I have not heard of before. But apparently, they've basically been petitioning the U.S. Copyright Office for some time now to relax certain aspects of the DMCA around the way that libraries and kind of museums, research institutions, archives keep old games and make them available to researchers.
And not just old games that are no longer available to play on platform, like a deprecated platform.
I think that's their kind of actual distinction here is basically any game that is like you look at the actual petition and there's language around like effectively like games that are no longer reasonably available commercially, that kind of thing.
Yes. Like the monetization on this game has ended. Right.
Like there is no way to pay somebody to play this game, and there doesn't look like there's likely to be anytime soon, if ever, is kind of the standard here, which they include a study in there that determines that 87% of all video games ever released are currently unavailable to play in any commercial sense.
I believe it. We've got enough of a tail on games now.
Yeah. So anyway, and I certainly don't understand all of the, hardcore legal aspects of this thing. I'm certainly no like copyright lawyer or anything, but they were looking for exemptions in the DMCA, which is kind of the thing that determines all copyright and piracy policy, to make old games that are not available for sale anymore available remotely for researchers is basically how they were putting it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it kind of sounded like me, at least according to the Video Games Chronicle article, was that, you'd have to get into the emulation space to kind of go in and make these games available, because the platforms are no longer, A, you can't do them remotely, and B, they're just not available in any commercial way.
Yeah. I've got the PDF right here on copyright.gov.
Nice.
Open. Trying to figure out how to slice this language up to make it digestible. Like what they're talking about here are basically like the language is users seeking off-premises access to works primarily for the purposes of private study, scholarship, teaching, or research.
Mm-hmm.
Is kind of what they were looking for a carve-out on. And the Copyright Office ultimately has come down with its decision, which was nah. Sadly. And the statement from the VGHF pretty prominently cites lobbying efforts by the ESA against this exemption. If you really want to stick with the theme this week of business looking out for the interests of business, not for the interests of people or the medium.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I just read this part from their statement. Unfortunately, lobbying efforts by rights holder groups continue to hold back progress. During our hearing with the Copyright Office, the ESA declared that they would never support remote game access for research purposes under any conditions.
Any conditions.
Yeah.
It just, I'm probably don't want to speak for you guys, but I just don't agree with it.
No, I don't agree with it, but it's also the least surprising verdict in the world, because I think, honestly, even without that lobbying, this is a little bit of a tough sell just based on how current copyright law works, and especially the DMCA works. I think it would have been a hard road to hoe no matter what, but obviously those companies getting out and be like, no, don't let them do that, probably did not help matters.
I mean, you can get a download of a book from a library.
I mean, not as they're trying to find ways to stop that too.
Can you, Brad? You probably engage with this more than Alex and I do. Can you get remote access to movies, or you can only get the physical version?
I think you can only get the discs, unless there is a library system-based streaming service.
Yeah,
that does exist.
San Francisco Public Library does have some kind of streaming service I have not signed up for, but yeah, it totally does.
Is it like Canopy? I think is the name of it. It's like it's a wider ranging thing that I think is like heavily used within library space, if I remember correctly.
Okay,
but I check out ebooks from the library all the time.
Yeah, I know the book spaces. I have that here too in my town. I wasn't sure about movies. I know physically, and they have physical games at our library.
Yeah,
so like it's not. But it's the part where the console has to be somehow
the inexorable tie to the hardware on which it was originally based.
Or PC.
Yeah,
right?
But like I said, this petition goes out of its way to purely frame this in like research terms. Like they
I know,
explicitly are saying like not for recreational purposes.
No, I get that, and I think they're being honest about it. It's just that I think they don't care. Like this is not what copyright is built to work around. They don't really give a shit if researchers are have access to this stuff in any form or not.
And they should.
Yeah,
I love this paragraph in this PDF that begins, "Consider Duck Hunt."
I do often,
always.
I'm thinking about that dog every second of every day.
What should I consider about Duck Hunt?
Let's see. Now, this is actually like, well, I'm reading this in real time, but this seems pretty well argued. Any scholar interested in studying Duck Hunt who does not already own the reissue from the Wii U eShop and cannot afford to buy the game, NES Zapper, and a CRT TV necessary to play the original, would be left with only one legal choice: to locate and travel to an institution that owns it.
And I will further say, and this may look, I'm not associated with them at all because I don't want to ruin their argument, but you cannot trust re-releases to be accurate to the original game.
Yes,
right?
Yes, that is absolutely the case.
And so like you would probably in a research capacity want to physically or to have access to the original code.
Absolutely is no substitute for the genuine article when you are trying to study all of the idiosyncrasies and details and ins and outs of the original game.
And we've had really interesting, and research doesn't have to be like the study of the impact of the game on social stuff, whatever. Like research could be that thing that we were talking about a couple of shows ago, Brad, where the guy who was going through Final Fantasy animations and how many frames of animation, which are fascinating bits of like the art and the you have to get into the game stuff to see that. And I'm not trying to blow up that guy's spot, but probably breaking into the code of the game gets you so much more information and data to make those kind of videos and projects. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's nonsense.
It's a bummer.
Boo.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, they say that VGHF says we're not done fighting here.
Yeah. We
will continue our advocacy for greater access and legal allowances, et cetera, but I don't know what the pathway is for that exactly.
Appeal, probably. I don't know what the appeals process is here.
Encourage members of the game industry to ask their leadership to push for greater support for the work of libraries and archives.
Hey guys, you should really definitely push harder for access to library archives. I did it. I talked to my leaders.
Yeah, all right.
I wonder if you're outside the ESA or outside of. Like, if I publish a game, can I make it available? I guess on an individual level, I could. I guess this is trying to be as broad based as possible, right?
Yeah,
so they can go and
you can license work however you want.
Yeah,
like you could put it straight in the public domain if you want.
I guess that's true. We'll just have to buy every video game. That's
right.
it.
Yep.
Hey, get on Patreon, guys. We got a new tier. It's the buy every video game tier.
We're going to put them in a bunker. We're going to seal it up and make sure that nobody can get these video games.
We're going to pour concrete on it. Video games have ruined everything.
I bet there's quite a bit of IP out there that you could buy for a pretty small amount of money at this point, but
relatively small is probably the way to say that.
Well,
right?
Relatively small, and also what kind of untangling are you going to have to do to figure out who gets paid for that?
Yeah, I mean, yes, in a lot of cases you probably couldn't buy it because they don't even know exactly who owns it or like who would have to get paid. Yeah, but I bet there are games you could get for like a few $1,000s out there.
Maybe. Brad, consider Duck Hunt.
Consider Duck Hunt.
They're not letting that go.
No.
No.
I mean, it is a great example though, because like they illustrated, it requires a lot of specific old hardware to play that game properly.
So in that case, though, I don't want to stretch this out too long, but in that case, though, I'm not 100% sure what maybe it goes into. Maybe I should read the paper. How being able to access it remotely would allow you to play the game if you don't have a zapper, or because that's
I don't know how you would play Duck Hunt remotely exactly necessarily.
Yeah, but maybe for research purposes where you don't have to play the game, maybe you just are doing something else. Maybe it's accessing the code. Maybe it's something that you're not just trying to get the high score with the Ducks.
Right.
Okay, that's an interesting story, if not a little like, that DMCA. I need a time machine.
I try to think back. When was that thing published? Or not published? Passed,
was it 2000?
Passing a law.
2002?
98.
No, it was before that. It was later than that, I think.
I feel like I remember pretty big campaigns against it at the time. Am I misremembering?
Was it 1998? It was that early?
1998, apparently.
A 1998 copyright law that implements 2 1996 treaties of the World Intellectual Property Organization. I feel like I remember some pretty strong activism against this thing in 98 when it passed, or before it passed, people saying like, hey, this is really, really going to fuck up everyone's ability to enjoy media or make use of media. And then sure enough, here we are.
All right. Let's move on to our final bit of we're in the editorial section.
Yeah, this is a notable story to me.
Brad, why don't you set up this one?
Dragon Age the Veilguard reviews. Can we just call it Dragon Age Veilguard? It rolls off the tongue so much.
Sure, we can do whatever we want. Smoothly. I mean, unless the DMCA
Hell,
comes
just call it Veilguard. I'll know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Why did they have to put... There's no room for an article in there. Anyway, reviews came out for Dragon Age the Veilguard.
Yes.
The most recent BioWare release, coming off of the heels of Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem. 2 games which I personally reviewed and found to barely function at launch.
Uh-huh.
So, to me, I mean, not just to me, like that's the prevailing narrative about BioWare, right? For a number of years now is, do they still have it? Can they still put out a game?
Yeah.
Current critical average on OpenCritic for Dragon Age the Veilguard is 82.
For the top critics.
Yes.
I don't know. How does OpenCritic do their critics recommend? Is that just like anybody who writes a review?
No, I mean, I assume it's like Metacritic. I think they have a stable of outlets that they rate as top.
Okay.
But, if you scroll through, it's like, it's all outlets you've heard of.
Yeah. It seems to be doing fairly well.
Yeah. It seems like, I mean, there are mixed opinions. Like you'll see like 3 out of 5s out there and stuff. Like there are people with whom it did not land entirely, but
yeah.
I think that, again, for my part, the big story here is it works. Like, it's not broken. It is a functional game. Like, they seem to have made a perfectly serviceable game. Which, again, after those last 2, like, those games were... I consider giving both of those games 1 star for their, for their technical and just general issues.
We'll get into this. It's something that I am... I don't know, man. I feel like I'm the target for this game, but I'm not. I'm still cautious about even being excited for it. This makes me a little more optimistic to jump into a long RPG. Obviously, you want it to be competent, like you said, or functional, like you said. You don't want it to be broken. But Dragon Age is a series that I've enjoyed, even through the rougher spots in it, and fell up. But also Inquisition reviewed extremely well, and I that's the one I bounced off of, maybe the hardest. It could just be a time in my life thing, or it could just be that game was so damn slow to get moving.
It was just those damn Hinterlands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Dragon Age. I want this game. This is going to sound like a backhanded compliment, but I want this game to be great because it means that the chances of a Mass Effect being great are that much more likely.
Yes,
right?
That's absolutely it for me.
That's the hope.
That's like, I'm happy for people who like Dragon Age. I'm not even sure if I'm going to play this game, maybe. but yes, I want a new Mass Effect game to be good very badly.
Yes.
Which may still be setting ourselves up for disappointment, but...
It's a different product. I don't know what the team overlap is. I'm sure they will push some people onto a Mass Effect team after shipping this thing. Probably more all hands on deck than not. I would assume.
Yes, I mean, I haven't seen a single comment from any review anywhere about this game being broken in any fashion whatsoever. And that's encouraging.
Yeah.
Anthem shut my PS4 off. I've never seen a video game do that in my life. The fucking system powered off.
So Anthem, okay. We're kind of bobbing and weaving here, but Anthem probably, you think if Anthem came out today, it would have a more similar fate to Concord, or you think they would have put the time back into it because they went away and came back, or did it just sit idle and came back?
They tried to reshape it, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, Anthem is still sitting idle. You can still go play it today.
But then initially,
but yes, there was the whole Anthem Next initiative.
Okay,
where they straight up kind of assigned a small kind of crack team of like 30 people or something who like they did a bunch of design work. You can go find screenshots they put out about like, hey, here's what we're thinking for Anthem 2.0. Like here's what the character sheet will look like, stuff like that. Like here's what we're thinking about for the gear system, and it looks pretty nice actually. Like,
and that never came to.
Nope, they killed it. They did work for some number of months. I don't think it was a year. It was maybe 6 or 8 months or something. And then there was, I think Schreier actually reported that like, hey, this is decision week at EA corporate for the fate of Anthem. Like the executives are going to review what they've done and decide if they should greenlight the full project or not. They did not.
But they kept the servers up, and the servers are still up.
Yes, you can still play Anthem. Gotta install Anthem on my PS5 Pro. Give it a whirl.
Great. Is it a buff? What is it? Enhanced for PS5 Pro?
I bet not.
Yeah, that's great. Great news for the team. Great news for people who enjoy RPGs, or especially, Western RPGs. I don't know that much about this. I'm excited to check it out, or at least more excited now to check it out, knowing that it sounds like it functions and people are enjoying it. We always want games to be great.
Yeah, for sure.
But our hour counts are limited.
Like the pull quote for the PC Gamer review, a genuinely enjoyable, gorgeous action RPG that lacks the storytelling nuance of previous Dragon Age games. Like, there you go.
Okay.
Like, it works. It's a playable game. It's pretty. You might not like the story. Like, that just sounds like a video game.
Yeah. Sounds like a BioWare game, in fact.
Yeah, you've made a video game. I just wonder what Dragon Age we get at this point. I haven't followed the Veilguard's development too much. Like preview cycle wise, so I'm not sure which Dragon Age. I assume it's closer to Inquisition, but I really don't know. And I guess I'll find out on Friday.
I think they're just even going even further in the direction that Inquisition was going.
Yeah, like I assume, and I could be wrong, but I've watched the gameplay demos. I assume the quasi strategy, like you still sort of can play this almost like a turn-based game, is completely gone at this point. I mean, I think there was some pausing in that gameplay demo, though, right?
I don't remember. My mind is a mush right now.
Yeah, but that's been the word about this game, is that it's kind of, they fully completed the transition to just kind of an action game. Yeah.
I mean, I think it was 2 that was so horrendous with the recycled dungeons.
2, this has been talked about. Like 2 was DLC for the first one.
Yeah.
I assume that's known at this point. Like 2,
I think it was known at the time.
Yeah, like 2 absolutely was just an expansion for the first one that got turned into a sequel.
Yeah, and like you'd run through an area and they just unlock a different door that you'd go into. It was really not the best.
Corporations, man.
Corporations, you gotta get that. You gotta turn that, spin it, baby. Congratulations to the team on the Veilguard. I wonder. I assume they're happy with their reviews. I mean, I bet everybody wants 90s, but high 80s.
Yeah, that's a respectable. It's a respectable average.
Mid 80s. What did we say? You said 82. Sitting at
82 currently.
Okay. Low 80s?
I could look up the Metacritic if you want. 84. 84 on Metacritic.
Okay. Who are they pulling?
I don't know.
Does Fandom own Metacritic?
Yes.
Okay. Man. What else is high on here? The Smurf's Dream, 76.
Ooh.
God. Call of Duty, 83. Mm-hmm. Shin-Chan's newest game, 79.
I thought about firing up Call of Duty. I'm not sure if I will or not, but
I might check it out. It's on. Hey, guess what? It's on Xbox Game Pass.
Right.
Yeah,
you certainly could just jump right in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. The story sounds like dumb enough this time around. Like the Black Ops games have always been so goofy with the conspiracy theory stuff.
Yeah. I was same place. I was thinking about just popping it up, especially since I have Game Pass, and just being like, I'll check it out. All right. maybe I'm ready to go back into a Call of Duty and see if I am ready to go back into a Call of Duty and see what they're doing there. But I did not, in fact, do that. Actually, I was like, I'll just go play more Silent Hill 2. I'm going to do that. All right. That's pretty much the news. Like I said, maybe for the best at this point. We've got some emails.
Yes.
Brad Shoemaker.
True. It is true.
What do we got in the old email tank?
Gosh, we have quite a few, actually, that I could
love
get to
it.
here. How about, let's pluck a random one here. John from Greece. What the hell happened to mini consoles?
What happened to them?
They seem to have disappeared from the face of the earth.
They did them all.
They made the big ones.
A PS2 Mini would be great, a Nintendo 64 Mini would be amazing, and I would kill for a GameCube Mini with an itty-bitty handle. OMG, so cute.
Oh, you want 3D minis.
Okay. I love what they're saying here, and I would definitely love this, but the thing they are not considering is that as they go through each progressive console generation with those consoles became harder and harder to justify. That PlayStation 1 one they put out, like they were using like European ports of some of those games, and there were not a lot of games because storage capacity becomes a real consideration once you get to the CD era.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Like, if you look at the size of DVD images for PS2 games, you would not be fitting that many PS2 games into a PS2 Mini.
Not unless that thing is like $500 when you're selling it.
I mean, I think the biggest thing is that just the companies that control those games are actively using those games for other business purposes at the moment.
Some of them, yeah.
You know, like Sony is selling PS2 games and later actively on PSN. Nintendo is putting... they put N64 games on their online service.
Yeah. I think the mini console thing was great for that run when we got the NES and the SNES and the Genesis and all that. Like, I bought both of the Nintendo and the Sega ones. I did not buy the PlayStation one. And that they're great. Like, they're great little emulation boxes. I also wonder if maybe they suddenly realized, hey, we just sold people a bunch of emulation boxes. Shit.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wonder what percentage of people have just taken one of those and been like, it ain't too hard to put other games on.
Oh, yeah, no, like everybody.
I did that to all of the ones I bought. Every single one now has like custom flashed, UI, and I have put as much of those game libraries as I possibly can on there.
Yeah. I mean, that's the other part about some of that. It's going back to that library story, not being able to rent stuff from a library for research purposes, is you kind of just push people into realms of like, dude, it's not that hard. We're trying to make a legal path here for people to do this academically, but it's just not that hard to go drop consider Duck Hunt. Not that hard to put a Duck Hunt on something that'll run it, right?
Yeah.
Hardest part is that damn light zapper.
Yeah, the problem is getting something that does light gun games, though there is also now a PC.
Stuff out there, yeah.
There's a PC controller I bought a while ago that is a light gun substitute technology that is supposed to work with like any sort of like MAME arcade thing or NES light gun thing if you have the right emulation software for it. And it's not bad. Like, it's actually it's pretty solid, I found.
Eat it, ducks. Yeah, I think the fad's over for now.
I think it is. I would have loved an N64 one, but now they are selling that N64 that just does 4K output now. So I'm like, and not Nintendo, someone else is.
The
analog
thing, yeah.
Analog, which, God, what do they call that thing? The Analog 3D, isn't that the name
analog
of that
3D,
thing?
which
so
is, like
weird.
you said, you're right. It is a weird name.
Just like Analog 64, man.
Yeah.
Maybe they just do not even want to get close to Nintendo on some
maybe
stuff.
Not. I don't know.
They're already really kind of brushing up against some stuff here.
Did you order one of those, Alex?
I sure did.
Okay. Apparently they were pretty easy to get, in contrary to most of the analog product launches.
Yeah, unless you wanted the custom white one, the regular ones were available as soon as I came hours after they announced that they were available for pre-order, and they were still up. So
yeah, it's a nice looking piece of hardware. Like I've said before, Analog has like incredible industrial design. Like, all their consoles look amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, like, the Mister does not do 100% perfect N64. So,
well, maybe you got to go get I just looked this up yesterday. What is the newer, not newer, the parallel Mister, the all-in-one Mister,
the Mister,
the FPGA. You know what it is, Brad.
You're talking about the clone stuff?
Yeah. Is it an actual clone of the Mr. board? The $99 Mr.?
Taki Udon. I think,
Taki
what's his
Udon.
Company called? Retro Remake, I think, is what he has now branded his outfit. R2.
The $99 one's up.
That one's been out for like a month. It's totally fine. But hey, wait, so I've been so unplugged with everything going on lately. Has he been? I've spoken to him briefly. I hope to maybe do something with him at some point.
I don't think there's anything in the N64 realm. I just.
Oh no.
I was going to say maybe that thing sounds like it is a little beefier. Maybe it could handle N64 games where the original one couldn't.
All the current Mr. stuff they're doing is just going to be compatible with the original Mr. So there won't be any like major capability changes there in terms of what can be, because they're just looking to maintain compatibility with all the existing cores. But the much longer term talk is, okay, now that we're designing our own entire products around whatever FPGA we pick, like what's the next board going to be based on a better FPGA? Then, although in the case of the N64, it's not the FPGA, it's memory limitations that are preventing it from being fully accurate.
Do you know, sorry, I don't want to sidetrack the email, but quickly here, do you know, since that thing's been out, have people said that it is equivalent to having the Nano? Like, is it equivalent to the $400 Mr.
The
board?
DE10 Nano, you mean?
Yeah.
No, it's, as far as I know, it's basically like 100% the same.
Like for $100?
I haven't read too much about it. Again, like it came out right as I was flying back home, so I just have not caught back up on it yet.
I just checked in on it to see if the all-in-one thing is out yet. It's not yet.
So they're doing like 3 of those. But as far as I've seen, there have not even really been like a lot of shots yet of what those are going to look like.
Okay. Anyway, another email?
Yes. Andrew from New Zealand. Subject line, what's with the apathy for Indiana Jones? I've been listening to the entire Giant Bomb Game of the Year backlog the last few months. Mostly because I'm broken inside, but there will be a separate email on that when I finish. I just got to 2018, which means I recently listened to y'all spout unrelenting praise for Wolfenstein, The New Order, and The New Colossus. So much that I finally dusted them off on my backlog and played through them. And holy crap, what fantastic games. For some reason, I thought New Colossus was received with a more tepid response, but nope, 87 on Metacritic. Machine Games and their core founding team has been releasing extremely interesting and well-told games for over 20 years now. So why is it that every time Indiana Jones comes up, everyone seems to kind of just shrug? Is the marketing just bad? What's the deal?
I think the novelty is gone.
I don't know if he's talking about just the 3 of us or more industry-wide necessarily.
Yeah. Well, let's start with us.
Yeah, what do you mean by novelty?
I think the novelty of Indiana Jones as a property is not what it used to be. I think that as much as I enjoy more of those movies than I don't, like the last 2 were very bad or at least not well received. And honestly, I like that studio. I like Machine Games a decent bit. I kind of wish they were just making Wolfenstein 3, if I'm being completely honest. Now, nothing they've shown of this game looks bad. Like I'm looking forward to playing it, but my excitement level is not that high because I think there's just something else I would rather they were doing.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly where I'm at. Like, I have nothing against Indiana Jones, but I just kind of don't jump out of my seat for it as a property like I do some other stuff. I don't know. This is, for me, there's also something a little weird about the Harrison Ford likeness, but other voice actor part, where it's like, I identify that character so much with the person of Harrison Ford that I almost feel like they should have made a new, like, facial design for him as well if they were going to. Like,
you want Troy Baker in the game?
Like they should have just taken a different direction with the design of the character, or made the game more stylized rather than try to make him look exactly like the film, even though he doesn't sound like him. Kind of weirds me out a little bit.
I think I just if it's a Wolfenstein comparison, I think this Indiana Jones game doesn't feel like it has any tooth to it or like any edge to it. Where like Wolfenstein was like kind of fun because it was batshit crazy.
It's true. Absolutely, the audacity of those games is the reason, especially the second one, or the reason they stick in the mind so much.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and I don't think I get the sense that you just can't do that with an Indiana Jones property. And I'll be on my honest, real gut opinion of the stuff I've seen is the whip stuff doesn't look that interesting to me, and like the whip stuff and the exploration are what I would probably come to a thing, quote unquote, called Indiana Jones, right? Like,
presumably,
okay, what makes and not that he even uses the whip in the movies that much, but like, that's just the character, right? So, I'm sure it'll be there, but the whip stuff looked weird in some of the footage we showed. And like releasing it in December, I shouldn't judge a game by that.
I think we now do actually have to let go of that as a notion that means this game is bad, because that hasn't been the case for a number of years now.
I know, but it's hard to let go sometimes.
Yeah, I get it. It's what we got used to.
Yeah, I am going to try it. I actually do think, I'm not saying I think the mechanics look amazing, but just the fact that they are trying some different stuff in first person. Like, I don't know how the whip stuff will turn out, but it's at least different than what you see in most first person games like that. Like the mix of stealth and the whip stuff and hand to hand, and like maybe that'll work. I'll at least give it a try, is what I mean. Like it seems different than your average shooter.
Yeah.
And it seems like there would be some amount of tomb raiding in there, which is always fun when done well.
We'll see. I will not deny that I have a bit of apathy for it. Like that is true. I'm just not as excited as maybe I would have once been for an Indiana Jones game at this point.
I'd love to be proven wrong though. Like
absolutely,
maybe it'll be a super fun stealth action game because like good stealth games are still very valuable.
I'm an Indiana Jones fan.
I think the pedigree of the studio and just the general quality of what they've put out over the last few years gives me enough hope to say I will at least enjoy this on some level. I just can't get that hype about Indiana Jones anymore. It's a property I liked a lot when I was a kid. It just does not hold the same sway for me that it used to.
I want it to be great, not only because I like Indiana Jones as a property. I'm kind of with you, Alex. I don't even think I saw the last one, but I like Indiana Jones.
Not a lot of people did.
But also, like, Microsoft needs a win here, so I hope it does really well, because I don't want to see a 2025 where Microsoft has another big budget thing that didn't do super well. I don't want to hear about more cuts and reshuffling around studios.
Yes.
Like I want them to have a successful financial late quarter here.
Is the PS5 version of that game day and date with the others?
I don't remember.
Do we know? It's not a delayed release, is it? It is. Okay, I'm sorry. Yes, it is coming out later on PS5.
Okay, is it 2025 on PS5?
Wikipedia, it's December 9th for PC and Xbox. Q1 or Q2 2025 is what Wikipedia says for PS5 currently. Does that game get PS5 Pro enhancements?
That'd be very funny.
Are they going to let that game look significantly better on a competing platform?
That'd be very funny.
That they can't match? I don't know.
Do they have a team inside working on a better version for a PS5 Pro currently?
I'm sure people at Machine Games would love for that game to look as good as it can.
Yeah. I mean, there'll be a PC version, so.
Yeah. I don't know. My gut feels like it will not get anything to make it look better than it does on Xbox, but we'll see.
Well, right. It's a pretty bold move for Microsoft to say this might look better on a competing platform. Yeah, that's a little tough.
We're not quite there yet. I mean, we may get there, but not yet.
Any other emails, Brad?
Yeah, a couple more quick ones here. Sam in New York City. I heard Brad on a recent podcast mention that the House of Prime Rib in San Francisco allows seconds of their meat.
Uh-huh.
I wanted to confirm that not only can you go back for seconds, you can go back as many times as you would like. My brother-in-law has had thirds of the prime rib on at least 2 occasions, and the carver was more than happy to provide and mentioned that any patron was welcome to eat until they were full.
And how is your brother-in-law's cholesterol level?
Wait, is the rule eat until you're full? Because that's not how I roll.
That's troubling.
I go past that mark pretty. I'm past the full mark pretty soon. I need to eat until I pass out.
Yeah, that's a big meal. Like
Yeah, depending on what you order too.
Even if you don't get the king cut, it's a big salad. Like there's a potato involved.
They do the thing that I love, which is I don't see it too often. They chill the salad. It's like a Caesar salad, and it's on ice. They chill it before they give it to you. Yeah,
it's one of the best salads I've ever had.
It's pretty drenched in dressing, but I'll take it.
It's all fairly decadent. A friend of the show, Drew Scanlon, also got in touch to mention that he has had what he describes as the dessert steak.
Great.
So I don't even know how to parse that.
I might give it a try. I haven't been there in years, but I might try that next time.
Go treat yourself.
Steak?
Well, it's like the extra steak, right?
It's just the extra. Yeah,
cute name for
it's just another cut of prime rib.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Did we go there for an official work thing a couple of times?
Yes, one of our last. It might have been our last ever holiday dinner when you guys were in town for Game of the Year.
Okay.
2019, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Because there was like Brazilian steakhouse.
Yes.
We also went to
times.
Fogo de Chao at least once.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to Fogo de Chao. Might have also gone to Espadus one time. I forget.
Okay. Good.
Um,
All right. It's a good final send off there.
What do a bunch of video game nerds want? What's going to make these guys happy? You just fill them full of meat.
Fill them full of meat and then allow them to go
On a plate,
sleep it
on a
off.
stick, whatever.
Yes.
Whatever you got.
Yep.
All right.
All right. Last email real quick here. If I can find it, I have lost it.
Okay.
I believe in you.
Nope, not that one. This is our Travis and Fargo minute
Okay.
for the week. I can't find the one. There's like 5 of them I have flagged here from him.
Oh, I saw the block.
Here it is. Yes. Shout out to Travis and Fargo for providing a lot of options every week.
Mm-hmm.
What are your non-negotiables when it comes to a group pizza order?
Ooh.
Does that mean I have to have this or it won't
Yeah.
or both?
Any,
Yeah, well,
whatever your have
Yes.
does are.
I don't. Okay. My have not I'm cool with most things, but I do not love like broccoli or like a lot of salad vegetables. on
Really?
pizza. Yeah. Not a fan.
Interesting.
Yeah. Just
What
Like basic salad vegetables, like an onion or a green pepper.
Yeah. What about
right?
the like the classic Supreme, the onion, bell pepper, like olives,
mushrooms?
So that usually has enough on it, but like I'm not a big green peppers or red peppers on a pizza.
Interesting.
Onions, yes. Though not my favorite pizza, though I love onions. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. I do like olives on a pizza and mushrooms. Olives and mushrooms. Like if you want to chop up some tomato, put it on there. You want to put any kind of cheese on there, like 7 cheeses. I'm good. Most meats, okay. Sausage, I'm not the biggest fan of.
Interesting.
But
Okay.
pepperoni, I'll get down with. Buffalo chicken is always a fun one.
Sure.
I never order it myself, but I'm never sad when it shows up. Sorry, what do you guys got?
I don't really have a lot of hard rules about this kind of thing because I'm pretty okay with what most people want on their pizzas, even within a certain amount of variety. So if someone even says like, hey, no pepperoni, I can live with that. That's fine. I actually just don't really want a plain cheese pizza.
Okay.
Like, I'm not against it, and I'll eat it if it's the only option in front of me, but I need to have something on there just to kind of give it a little oomph.
I'm fully with you. I certainly won't turn down cheese pizza if offered, but not. Yeah, it's not. It would be nice to have some kind of character to it.
You guys are probably not in the kids' party space, but that is
Definitely
all
not.
you get.
Not as
plain,
much as I used to be, it turns out.
just pies and pies of goddamn plain cheese pizza.
I mean, I'll say like a good floppy New York slice, I can deal with cheese just fine because at least you can like fold it, and that's sort of different, or you know what I mean.
The oil becomes its own real other topping.
I don't know. My feeling about group pizza orders is generally just try to be agreeable because otherwise it will never get ordered if everybody's asserting themselves. But I don't like too much meat. Like I would avoid a meat lovers, like a thing that is just 6 meats and nothing else.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I will
my
never
favorite.
order that. If you put that in front of me, I will happily gobble it down, but that is not a thing I will ever order.
Like I'll eat a piece of it, but I would hope there was something that was a little more balanced along with it.
What are the meats on a meat lovers? Like pepperoni, sausage. What else goes on there?
Let's see.
Capricola.
Pepperoni, sausage,
bacon sometimes.
Canadian bacon.
Oh my
or
gosh.
regular bacon sometimes too.
Or even regular bacon.
Okay, that is pretty intense.
I don't know. Let me see. What is a Papa John's
Just
meat
a big
lovers?
hunk of beef.
Just a steak.
Not that I
Half a suckling pig.
I'm definitely not advocating for Papa John's here. It's just a very mainstream pizza. What does the meat lovers have on it?
While you look that up, my standard is usually pepperoni mushroom. Sometimes olives. It will be, and we get it half. We have to get half the pie because the kids will not eat that. They will. My son is getting into pepperoni, but no mushrooms yet.
Sorry, what was yours?
Pepperoni mushroom is my standard. But sometimes olives if I'm feeling it.
If it's up to me, it's pepperoni, it's onion, it's green pepper, and then maybe one other thing, a vegetable or something.
Pineapple.
Yeah, here's the thing. I will eat pineapple on a pizza. I don't want to eat that with like other regular ingredients. Usually it needs to be the Hawaiian style pizza for me to like that. But that's usually what I go for. My partner does not like pepperoni. It's too salty for her. So we usually just get sausage instead.
Okay.
I just go for the classic Supreme.
Yeah? Okay.
It's like which, I mean, I guess the definition can vary, but pepperoni, sausage, green pepper, onion, black olive, mushrooms.
Okay,
that's what if it's up to me, that's what's getting ordered.
That's a pretty intense slice, though.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. That's you probably at that point you probably have double the calorie count on a slice there. Maybe not double, probably another 2/3.
It's just
pepperoni is pretty rough.
It's just the meat and the olives, really. Like the vegetables are all kind of free.
Those are freebies. It's the pepperoni that can really knock you over.
But I would cut the pepperoni before any of the vegetables, for example.
Okay. Do you guys?
Yeah, I can eat all veggie pizza. I'm perfectly happy with it.
In fact, actually, maybe the classic supreme actually probably is that minus pepperoni more often than not.
Okay.
Now that I think about it.
Do you guys ever do the cliche anchovy? Have you ever even had a slice of pizza with anchovies?
Yeah, I've had it with anchovy before. It's fine.
I think I've had anchovy pizza. I have had clam pizza.
Yeah, I've also had that. That's great.
Is it great?
San Francisco's North Beach Pizza does I think it's the Golden Gate special that is clams and garlic.
Ooh,
yeah.
Okay.
There was a place in the Rockaways that my partner and I used to go to that was like a really like just one guy in his pizza oven kind of place, and he would do a clam pizza that was fucking delicious.
Here's the thing. I would try anything on a pizza. If it's a food item. Okay?
Yeah.
If it's an edible food item, I would try anything on a pizza.
Sure.
Once. I would not turn it down. I'm trying to think of I'm sure somebody's like, well, how about like a row pizza? I don't know.
It wouldn't be my first choice.
It wouldn't be my first choice.
But if that's like a Fear Factor challenge for me or something, I would totally do it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like what food would I like? Again, not made to be disgusting, just made to be like.
Yeah, I don't know. If you put like head cheese and offal on there, I'm probably going to turn that down. But,
turn it down? Okay.
Yeah, because I don't truck with that in any context, let alone pizza.
You want a brain pizza or something?
Not particularly. Brain is just not an organ that has ever been desirable to me. Sorry, Anthony Bourdain. I respect the work you have done, but that the weird organ meat is just not my thing.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, look, you're getting into territory where like if somebody were like, "What is this?" It's like eyeballs. I'm like, you know what? I don't know. I don't know. You know what? You're right. I should just stop saying I would eat anything on a pizza because.
They can find something
they will find some. Yeah.
Who's they? The pizza gods. I don't know.
I would maybe try tongue though. Tongue on a pizza.
Yeah, I've had lengua before, like on like tacos and stuff. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not really what I go for, but it's fine.
Yeah. You technically eat anything. All right. Is that the end of the emails?
Yeah, let's call it there.
All right, let's call it there.
I want pizza.
Yeah, I just want eyeballs.
Shit. Now I gotta get a fucking pizza.
Nice. Very good. That's going to do it for the show. And we've got a bunch of stuff coming up, like I mentioned before. We're going to check out Dragon Age The Veilguard.
The Veilguard.
On Friday. We're going to boot that up. I think we mentioned earlier.
Can you just mask out the in the stream?
Everywhere.
Yes.
Just, yeah.
The Veilguard University.
I don't know what they're going to do when they reboot that game in 15 years. The Veilguard. On Thursday, it sounds like the people have spoken, and we're going to jump into some Phasmophobia with a combination of VR and not VR. And Abby Russell will be joining us as well. It sounds like that game has cross-play, so some of us will be playing on consoles, and some will be playing on the PC. And can't wait to check that one out for Halloween. I keep forgetting it's Halloween on Thursday.
Yeah.
So you can check that out. On Monday, you can see me jump into the wild and wacky world of Sonic and Shadow. Played a little more Silent Hill there as well. We got the Watchcast cooking up. We are now going into... Alex, I'll let you set this up. These are financial...
Big budget disasters is what I'm officially putting into the header when I post the schedule tomorrow. But that is the idea, is this ballooning budgets... Some varying levels of success, but let's just say not what maybe anyone was hoping.
And our inaugural into that entry, which will go up next week, is Cutthroat Island.
Aha!
And where does Cutthroat Island the answers land for us? The answers may shock you. I don't know, or not.
Down at the depths of Davy Jones' locker.
That'll be going up next Monday, and like Alex said, you can look for the schedule going up tomorrow.
Yes, it will in fact be up probably around the time you are hearing this if you are not one of our patrons.
Fantastic. Some fun movies in there, and then we'll be off for Thanksgiving. So 3 movies in this block for November.
That's only so much. There's only so much turkey I can stuff people with, you know?
That's right. We'll have a lot to think about.
If I'm going to watch the nearly 3-hour version of Waterworld, which, by the way, no one else at home has to do, that's going to stuff me pretty hard.
Get stuffed.
I'm very stuffed.
Great.
I'm full of Waterworld and Kevin Costner.
That's disgusting. That's gross.
I mean, is it better than being full of Dennis Hopper?
No, it's worse.
Okay.
Yeah. Full of cigarettes.
Smokers. Oh, man. All right. We haven't watched that one yet. That is coming up.
That one's coming up.
And that's going to do it for our show. I'd like to thank everybody for supporting us, going over to patreon.com/Nextlander. Couldn't do it without you. We talked about in the beginning there, a lot of layoffs happening. We are definitely appreciative that people have gone out to support us. Go out and support other people as well if they are doing stuff out there that you enjoy. It is a great way to keep the people that you like watching and listening to doing what they do. And we are grateful for you to do it. You can go over to patreon.com/Nextlander if you decide to support us. There are plenty of tiers there. There's a tier that fits you, I'm sure. There is one tier there, though, the Mysterious Benefactors tier that gets their names read on this here show. And I'm going to read those names for you right now, starting with Sean Miller, RRE, Infelicitous Rips, Casey Park, Kelly F., Brian Lucier, Skywarp, John Hubbard, Evan Cook, Mark Wilhelm, Jerry Lee, Deidre the Final Girl, Gary Pejke, Robert Fisher, Bunny Fiend, Jad Rita, Statics, Fantastichasm89, Brian Murphy, Randy Duax, Randy, the second Randy, Alderson, Andrew Tiebkin, Alex Wu, It's Me JP, Edward Chick, Andrew Slosky, Steve Lynn, Matthew Herrig, David Campos, and Tyler Treves. Those are our Mysterious Benefactors for this week. Thanks to them and thanks to everyone who has supported us. Again, patreon.com/Nextlander. We cannot do this without you. Our corporate overlords are gone. They want nothing to do with us anymore. For better or worse.
Yeah.
True.
Get them out of here.
They made that abundantly clear.
Speak to the people now. And hopefully the people speak back. We appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. And again, best of luck to everyone who is displaced or has lost their job, not only today or recently, but over the course of what now? Let's just say history.
This whole stretch, we'll just say.
Yeah, it's pretty rough out there. But thanks again, everybody, for listening to us. Thank you, Alex Navarro.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad Shoemaker.
Thank you.
And we'll be back next week.